Thanks for joining me on this video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out on any new content on the channel. And also be sure to follow me on these other social media platforms. Links are in the description below. All right, have and have not fans, once again insomnia's kicked in, and by insomnia I mean, well, I actually went to bed at 10:30, but then I woke up around 1 o'clock and yeah, wide awake. Flood warnings until like 11:30 a.m. in the morning, but you know, thankfully I do not have to go out anywhere. I mean, it will be nice, but I believe around Wednesday or Thursday of this week, at least in Lynchburg, that's when the rain is supposed to stop. It's supposed to be in the 80s, so I mean, I'm okay with being stuck for another couple days, but luckily, at least in my specific area, there are no flooding, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes on the weather, and definitely, once again, prayers to those in the Carolinas, because I know y'all are getting hit hard by the hurricane and everything that it's bringing. But you know, I've already done a video in regards to you know, the possibility of Hanna and or Candace leaving the haves and the have-nots, and I can't even stop talking about how sweet the photos with those two are. It's just adorable. I love it so much, especially because of the fact that we see these characters going at it on screen. And we've seen this for years, at least in our time, but in the haves and the have-nots, it's only been several weeks. Remember, not even a couple of months has passed in the overall show itself. But this video, once again, it's kind of like off the top of the head, not scripted, but with the possibility of one of these characters leaving the show, one or both, you know, there's always the discussion of, well, will it be a matter of them departing by death, you know, being killed off, or do you think they'll be written off in any capacity? And if so, what would that look like? I guess the main question I've seen has been whether or not these two will reconcile, like they'll actually come together as mother and daughter. Maybe they won't become a happy family in terms of everything is forgiven, but to be honest, that's the only way I can actually see these two coming together. Sometimes I mean, I might actually do a separate video just talking about religion itself, but you know, like for example, because I have people like this in my life, like, you know, you've known each other for a long time, you know, you grew up, you went to public school, or you went to private school, or you went to college together, but you know, you're good friends, but you have different views on things, whether it be politics, religion. But at the end of the day, you still have a mutual respect for one another. You might not, you know, fully like the other person because, you know, you used to be best buddies, but then as you grew older, you began to see things differently, and that kind of caused a rift between the two. But at the end of the day, there's still that respect. That's kind of how I could see the Hanna and Candace relationship working out. I'm going to be completely honest here. I could possibly see Candace accepting the role of First Lady, and Charles might actually play a role in helping her talk with her mother, and Derek might actually be the source to help Hanna get back on her feet, you know, pray for her daughter again, and you know, have those two meet up. So in a way, I guess you could say that Charles and Derek would be like the middle men in that situation. You know, Benny, I would love to have him involved, but you know, to be honest, I feel like we've had enough Benny trying to get these two back together, but it's never worked. So why not have the quote unquote love interest in their lives to work, Charles for Candace and Derek for Hanna, and help them reconcile? And just one thing I never even thought about, you know, with the being First Lady, you know, there are certain duties that come along with that, you know, whether it be like, you know, things regarding health or education. What I would love to see is if Candace, and this is me being very hopeful and optimistic. Now, you know, I've done plenty of anti-Candace videos, but in this one, I'm really trying to have an open mind here. If she would use her power for good, not worried about the fact that, oh, I'm First Lady to Charles, so that means I'll never be in the power chair, but using the power that comes with being the First Lady, using the power of being with a man who's president and making things happen. Look at all the lies, the deceit, the death, the losses, the schemes, everything you've done in your life. But here's one thing, you know, because we always talk about the comparison between Veronica and Candace, how Candace is kind of like the, you know, like Veronica is the Frosted Flakes and Candace is the Food Line brand of Frosted Flakes, you know what I mean, where they're very similar, but it's just the fact that Veronica has a higher social status, more money, more power, more resources, and she's more experienced than Candace is. What I would love to see, remember how Veronica was in rehab, but then when she got out, she saw everything wrong with the program she was in, flipped it around and created her own rehab facility, and that's how she became a multimillionaire. Have Candace, not for the money, sorry, cars in the parking lot again, if you hear any background noise. Have Candace establish like adoption agencies or create a law school, because she was a law student. I say adoption agencies due to the fact that, you know, she wanted to put Quincy Jr. up for adoption for semi-selfish reasons, mainly because she didn't want him raised by her crazy ass mama. But at the same time, you know, I think that would be cool. You know, the law school thing, or, you know, something along those lines. I mean, shoot, with her business savvy, I could definitely see her doing something like that, you know, opening a business or whatever. Or wow, that's very interesting. Maybe shoot, hang on a second, I'm trying to get, I almost lost my train of thought because I've never thought about these things before. Because remember, I've always talked about how I wouldn't like her to be first lady because it seems like she's just being shoehorned in that position and she hasn't even done anything to deserve the role. But this is me thinking about, what if Candace gets this opportunity, not to prove everyone else wrong, but to do the right thing for a change, to use that power to make a real difference in the world. Like, I would love for her to repent and stuff like that, but I would rather that be done with some development rather than her just to do it all in one episode. That's just my opinion. I feel like that's lazy writing, especially if she's about to be written off. I don't think that works. That's just my opinion with that. But you know, what the adoption agency, something involving law school. I mean, can you imagine having Candace in board meetings and whatnot with Charles and just being able to read people's bullshit for him? That would be great. I would love that. On top of that, maybe doing something along the lines of domestic violence, because she was in a relationship with Quincy and that didn't go over so well. I mean, remember Quita was talking about how, you know, he only hit you because he loved you and stuff like that. That would be great. I mean, for example, Bobby Brown opened the domestic violence center named after his daughter, Bobby Christina, a couple years back. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like one of those things where, you know, people who sponsor or create these foundations and whatnot, they in some cases they have experience, whether they have a child or a family member or themselves who have been drug addicts or been in abusive relationships or lost everything, or, you know, what was put up for adoption themselves. So with everything that Candace has gone through in her life, I feel like she could definitely use the opportunity as first lady to make some changes. And, you know, maybe she didn't have the best upbringing, but maybe she could prevent others from going through the same thing. And I could definitely see like the news covering, you know, Candace Young cutting the ribbon, like a grand opening to like a adoption agency or domestic violence center, or maybe a new law school established or something along those lines. And I could just see like Hanna and Derek sitting on the couch and just smiling at the television. Those are the kind of things that an epilogue or end of season would be fantastic. Those little moments where not even a word is spoken, but you could just tell a lot from the body language. Lord have mercy. I hope Tyler Perry, somebody watches this video, because this is great. I mean, I'm not trying to boost my own ego here, but I think that would be a great way of making things different. Like, just to give some closure to the animosity between these two, and just to give more depth to Derek and Charles, because with Derek, I could definitely see Derek not only doing the, you know, like helping Candace out with the whole adoption thing, or just like a youth center, because of the fact that I'm assuming both of them had a rough upbringing. Candace lost her son. Not to mention Charles has 2 kids of his own, so I'm pretty sure he can't even fathom what it would be like to lose one or both of his children. So he could definitely relate to Candace on that level. And then on the flip side, we really don't know much about Derek and the relationship with his 3 sons, but as far as we can tell, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, even if there is, I doubt it's anywhere close like the negativity and bad vibes between Hanna and Candace. But I would really like to see that. Like, again, I'm not saying that Candace can't make a full conversion, but at the same time, I think that I would rather have it develop over time rather than, you know, her to automatically accept God and everything. And look, I'm a Christian myself, and I know that sounds bad, but for the sake of good storytelling, I would rather see it developed over time. We're in season 5 here, and we're talking about the possibility of one or both of these characters leaving in season 7. So yeah, I'd rather see some seeds planted and let them grow over time than just have a rushed ending to the character arc where and Candace became saved and did this and that. You know, that's just my opinion with that. But yeah, I do think it is possible for them to reconcile, but yeah, there's just been too much that's been going on ever since episode 1 before the show even began, and you know, more recently with her sending Malik to, you know, rough up her mother. But I'm going to stop this video right here. Trust and believe, I'm pretty sure I can make this a 20 or 30-minute video, but let me hit the pause button. What do you think about it? Do you think that Candace and Hanna will ever reconcile their differences, come together as mother and daughter? I pray that it wouldn't happen as a result of Benny dying. No. Let it be because they're both given a little push, Candace by Charles and Hanna by Derek, and let them hash it out, see what happens. And if she does become First Lady, let Candace use her powers for good for once. So, with that being said, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Once again, we're almost at 50,000 subscribers. Just a quick shout out. I really need to shout out to everyone who has followed me on Instagram or have not Instagram over the past 24 hours. I made the call and a lot of you answered. I said, hey, we're at like 875 followers on Instagram. Can you help me hit 1,000 pretty soon? And it hasn't even been like 2 days and we've already jumped by 50. So at the last time I checked, we're about at 920 plus followers. So we're really growing. Now I want to make another call to you all. For everyone looking at this video, hopefully this video hits a couple thousand. Can you do me a favor and please go out there and get me 1 more subscriber on the channel? Meaning that if you're listening to this video, if you made it this far, thank you so much. But share one of my videos, share the link, do something. Tell a friend on social media, just say, hey, if you love the Tyler Perry shows and whatnot, here's this YouTube channel. This guy talks about them. Go give him a subscribe. If you have a friend who has yet to watch the shows, or better yet, if you have a friend who just started watching If Loving You Is Wrong or The Haves and the Have-Nots on Hulu, tell them about this channel because of the fact I have videos going way back to even season 1. So with that being said, guys, I would really appreciate it if you can go out there and help me get those Instagram subscribers. Links to my Instagram is in the description below. And if you can help me get YouTube subscribers by going out there and sharing this channel with your friends, I'd really appreciate it. So once again, do all that for me. I really appreciate that. But also let me know your thoughts on this mother and daughter reconciliation.